Hello everyone, I'm Fungisai Moronga coming to you from Lusaka, and this is Africa Matters. Nearly 500 million people across 19 nations in Africa lack access to clean water. Despite global commitments, progress has been slow. 29 nations have shown improvement, but 25 have not. We'll discuss this urgent issue because Africa matters, and so does its access to clean water. Water, the source of life, yet for millions across Africa, it remains a scarce and precious commodity. 500 million people in 19 African nations face water insecurity, with Somalia, Chad, and Niger ranking as the least water secure. Despite some progress, urgent action is needed to address this continent-wide challenge. Eunice Emre explains.
Water, the basis of life. Even though many of us have so much, some of us still have so very little. It's a decades-old story, being inherited by the newer generations.
Ramadan has come, yet we have nothing to eat. Some of these children are orphans, they are fatherless. We have no source of nutrition, no source of livelihood. We cannot work for ourselves.
According to the World Health Organization, 1 in 3 people in Africa are facing water scarcity. That's almost 400 million people. 115 of them are dying every hour to diseases linked to poor sanitation, poor hygiene, and contaminated water.
2 of my children died here, and the surviving ones are hungry. My family does not have anything to eat, and I do not have relatives to assist me. I'm very ill and I cannot even talk well, so I need assistance.
In Africa's second least water secure nation, 44% of Chad's 17 million don't have access to drinking water. And that's not counting all the millions who have fled the war in neighboring Sudan, who have been left completely dependent on a helping hand, unable to rely on natural resources, as the Horn of Africa rolls into its 5th failed rainy season. Lake Chad is a UN World Agricultural Heritage Site and a lifeline to 30 million people across 4 countries. The oasis has been drying up over the past 4 decades. Researchers say it's now 1/20th of what it once was. The northwest corner of the lake belongs to Niger, Africa's 3rd least water secure country, where some private companies seem confused as to which is more important, water and the environment, or oil and money.
Anytime when I come to this place, when I see the crude oil and the dirty, I cannot longer do my fishing.
Not only does the oil spill stop Chidioma from bringing food to the table, it disables him earning money.
People used to rent this lake to fish, but now, because of the spill, they are not coming again to rent the place again. And when people come to rent this place, the family normally survive with that method. That is our revenue. But from the beginning of the spill now, that revenue is not there again.
From the never-ending supply of rare minerals and natural resources, to the rush to modernize, and fruitful crops in fertile lands, there are no lack of reasons to invest in Africa. But among it all, we fail to invest in the most valuable commodity, basic human life. Yunus Emre, Africa Matters.
Africa's top 5 most water-secure countries, Egypt, Botswana, Gabon, Mauritius, and Tunisia, are highlighted. However, it's crucial to note that no nation has achieved a model stage of water security. While some have made progress, 25 countries are lagging behind on water security, underscoring the necessity for enhanced policies and international cooperations. Let's hear more from Nalucha Ziva, Zambia's Worldwide Fund for Nature Country Director. She joins me here in Lusaka. Thank you for joining us, Nalucha. Explain what water scarcity is and how it affects or impacts communities and countries.
Thank you for the interview. For us, our understanding of water scarcity is the non-availability of water. And we have seen that over the years, due to the global demand for water, largely as a result of increase in human population, as well as industrialization, there has been increased demand for water as a commodity. And in line with the integrated water management use principles, for us, our understanding is that water is an infinite resource. Therefore, there is need to raise awareness among communities in the prudent management of the resource.
What are some of the health risks associated to water scarcity, in particular to children under the age of 5 in developing countries?
What we have seen is that we have witnessed the increased disease burden when it comes to health-related complications as a result of water. In years where we have more rainfall, we have seen increased diarrheal diseases such as typhoid and cholera. And also where we have droughts such as the one we're experiencing as a country, we have seen increased cases of dehydration among children, largely due to the scarcity of the commodity in households, but also it's used in the preparation of food and therefore affecting the nutrition dietary of children.
What are some of the immediate actions that we can take as a community, especially with regards to people who've been displaced due to water scarcity in Africa?
Well, with the coming on of climate change, we will witness a lot of community displacements, especially in country. And therefore, what we need to do is we need to start looking at how we support communities, those that are getting displaced due to issues of water. How do we support them in terms of finding areas that are able to support their human life existence as well as livelihoods? But also we need to ensure that we start digging more boreholes to provide for more water, not just for humans, but also in national protected areas such as game parks. What we will see that as water is becoming scarce and water ponds are drying up, even animals start venturing off into human settlements. Therefore, it will exacerbate human-wildlife conflict. So there is need to start putting water points both for human and wildlife.
How can African countries suffering from water scarcity overcome it?
For African countries that are suffering from water scarcity, there is need to look at how do we work together collaboratively and how do we integrate in terms of ensuring that we support each other when it comes to water scarcity. So for us as an institution, as WWF, for instance, we have the free-flowing river challenge, where as a country we have committed to ensuring that 350 kilometers of rivers is allowed to free flow. What that means is that we have seen a lot of damming upstream, which is also affecting the flow of rivers and therefore affecting livelihoods on the downstream as well as water availability, considering that the climate is changing and we're not having water as we used to have. Hence, there's need for collaboration in terms of also developing emergency response plans and also ensuring that we put resources together, that is both people and finance, to ensure that we are able to cater for water as it is a very key resource.
Okay. That was Nalucha Ngangaziba, the country director for Zambia's Worldwide Fund for Nature. We go to Ghana, where an acute water shortage in the north of the country has reached crisis levels due to the late and erratic rainfall. Rivers and lakes have dried up, meaning local people must trek long distances from their homes to find water. More than 500 government-built dams in the area are also empty. Rolling Sikamam reports.
Trekking long hours in searing heat and digging for water in dry river beds have become part of the daily routine for the women of northern Ghana. Their hardship is extreme. Mamun Jakari lost her 3-month-old baby in her desperate quest to find water.
I left the baby and went to queue at the only borehole. I was coming back intermittently to feed the baby. I returned again at about 2 p.m. to feed him, but he had become tangled in the bedding and died. This is the only water I've been able to get since yesterday. We spent days searching for water. We searched day and night.
She is not grieving alone. Community members here in Gambuga, in Nanumba North District, gather to tell us how another woman lost her baby last year because of the water crisis. Even if they find enough, the water is often murky and full of bacteria. The women purify the water as best they can, but infections and waterborne diseases like typhoid are spreading.
typhoid, cholera, and other diarrheal diseases are on the rise. And the most hit people are women and children.
Children are most at risk, both from dehydration and diseases. Their education suffers as they are forced to forgo school to help fetch water. Past and present governments have sunk boreholes, but most have been dry for years. And the climate crisis have made the problem worse. The government began building small dams across the north of Ghana in 2017 when Nana Addo became president. The project was called One Village, One Dam, with the aim of storing water for the dry season. Over 500 dams have been built, but few contain any water. Local administrators say that the dams were poorly constructed and they are now looking at new solutions.
The amount that was allocated for the dam was not enough. Certainly 500,000 cannot dig any meaningful dam. That was what the contractors were saying. He has given approval for us to procure 20 Rambo 1,000 polytanks, so that those communities that have lice and they have boreholes that are high yielding will be what mechanized.
Authorities say the water table in the area is very low, but 20 million gallons of water is needed every day to support the population, and the problem seems insurmountable. Animals are dying because their owners cannot find them water, and poor crop yields have forced many farmers to bow out. As their children and animals die around them and their economies collapse, the people of northern Ghana have no choice but to keep searching for water and hoping for rain. Roland Sikamam, African Matters, Nanumba North, Ghana.
And in South Africa, the government is battling to resolve the water shortages plaguing the country and to rehabilitate polluted water systems. Taps in major cities have been running dry for weeks due to crumbling infrastructure. 53% of dams and rivers surveyed in the latest state report on water safety are also contaminated by sewage. Nsepeng Motema reports on community efforts to transform one of Johannesburg's largest rivers, which was once a source of drinking water and is now so dirty that even swimming in it is not safe.
Caring for a river that has long suffered neglect, these volunteers meet 5 times a week to clean up the Ukskay. They are part of the Water Warriors project in Alexandra, one of South Africa's oldest and most overcrowded townships. It's an initiative to restore this waterway, which has been choking on rubbish for years and has raw sewage flowing into it.
We actually have managed to overcome some of the challenges like illegal dumping, illegal sand mining, but there's other areas whereby the river is still vulnerable. There's still companies that they are discharging waste on the river, and then on the other end, there's still illegal dumping that is happening.
The Ukskay is one of the city's major rivers and flows into a network that ultimately reaches the Indian Ocean. Like many of the country's rivers and dams, it is severely contaminated, in part because of crumbling infrastructure and failing wastewater treatment systems. South Africa's water woes don't end with rivers. The problem of water cuts in households, which for a long time had been mostly felt in rural areas, has now become a regular occurrence even in major cities. Most of it is due to bad governance and the misappropriation of municipal funds. And the crisis is being made worse by climate change. Tired of waiting for the state, some communities are taking it upon themselves to improve the situation. In central Johannesburg, right at the point where the Ukskay River emerges from underground, a crew from Water for the Future is hard at work. They are removing invasive plant species which are drying up the river, while also creating a much-needed green economy in the inner city.
We clear them, and then after clearing them, we replace them with indigenous trees. After clearing them, we chop them, we take the green leaves, we make compost, and then the wood, we sell the wood to the community.
Water for the Future also works with scientists from the University of Johannesburg who gather data that will be used to design customized systems to improve the quality of the river. In the long run, This citizen-led organization aims to create a walkable green corridor running for more than 7 kilometers along the banks of the Yuxke. They are committed to demonstrating that through the integration of scientific research, partnerships, and dedicated labor, it's possible to rejuvenate not just this river, but all water systems in the country. Nsepeng Mutema, Africa Matters, Johannesburg.
To Ethiopia now. Just 40 kilometers from Addis Ababa are the 7 breathtaking lakes of Bishoftu. Despite the natural bounty, residents of the town grapple daily with water scarcity and the spread of waterborne diseases. But a new program is working to get pipes flowing, as Henok Tesfaye reports.
Bishoftu is a beautiful town surrounded by lakes and grand resorts. But among the splendor is a growing crisis of water scarcity.
We have a serious problem. To avoid dehydration, we take home this unclean water and use it.
Ashenafi Lama's family relies on him to find water and feed the livestock.
Once I brought in the pond's dirty water, we simply poured it into a bigger container and left it for at least a day. Then we use the water for drinking once it is distilled.
Mabit Fantu is in the same boat. She is using irrigation water that passes through her village.
When we couldn't get clean water at the water point for a long time, we used this water for a drink.
According to UNICEF, up to 80% of health issues in Ethiopia stem from communicable diseases linked to unsafe water and poor sanitation. This stark reality is evident at Bugaya Health Center, where children are being treated for the impacts.
The doctor has informed me that my daughter has a waterborne illness. She instructed me to give her clean or boiled water.
Waterborne infections account for about 80% of the children under 5 who visit this place. They have symptoms such as vomiting and diarrhea.
Ethiopia has one of the lowest rates of access to water supply, sanitation, and hygiene in Africa, despite its abundant surface and groundwater resources.
Today, Ethiopia's population is around 120 million, and though progress has been made to improve access to clean water, the current status is only around half of the population gets clean water for drinking. Others use unsafe sources.
There is yet hope for the region, however, with the government working to supply tap water.
I sowed the crop in November, but there were no rains at the time, and as a result of that, wheat plants could not grow. This means the grain size will remain small.
Despite Ethiopia's reputation as the water tower of Africa, half its population lacks clean water access. Let's remember that safeguarding and utilizing water resources demands concerted efforts from all sectors. Henok Tesfaye, Africa Matters, Bishoftu, Ethiopia.
Catfish are wreaking havoc in Kenya's Lake Naivasha after recently being introduced. Fish folk in the lake say the catfish have been eating fingerlings and destroying the breeding grounds for the tilapia and common carp, causing their catch to drop by more than 60%. Alexandria Majala has this report from the shores of Lake Naivasha.
It's the crack of dawn, and these men have already been here a while, busy getting the tools of trade ready for the day. Those who are here are not only hoping for a good catch, but also to snag some tilapia or common carp in their nets.
Nowadays, finding tilapia is very difficult. What we now find is common carp and catfish, and even those are now hard to find. Even now, we don't have any, and we fished from all the way over there to here.
Naivasha town has always been a hub for economic activity, supporting its population through horticulture, tourism, and fishing. The lake wasn't always a fishing spot, and it wasn't until the Europeans introduced various species to exploit it for sport fishing that the activity took off. The rise in catfish is being attributed to recent heavy rainfall, which saw various fish species washed downstream into the lake. The swell is forcing fish consumers to turn to illegally caught tilapia from Nakuru, where lake pollution poses a hazard to their health. Of the 400 registered fishermen here at Lake Naivasha's Kamere Beach, only a fraction have shown up to try their luck. Most have left their boats on the shore, having given up on catching anything at all. Eric Chege has been fishing here for over a decade and has seen a rise and fall in fishing fortunes. He was part of a local government-sanctioned team that recently restocked the lake with 150,000 tilapia fingerlings at the end of January.
Before 2013, before the county government took over, we had the national government that would restock. And then every year for 3 months, we'd have a fishing ban. This will give time for the fish to grow again. But since 2013, we are in 2024. We've never had a fishing ban. And in all those years, we've restocked the lake, I guess, less than 5 times.
While the fishermen maintain that catfish numbers are higher than tilapia or common carp, the Kenya Marine and Fisheries Institute says that tilapia is still the dominant species in the freshwater lake. Data from the institute puts tilapia at 79% of the catch in 2023. The fishermen see the catfish as a menace, while Kemfrey researchers see the species as untapped potential.
It is true indeed that there is an increase in catfish populations in the lake. Currently, we are recording 15% of the total catch composition being catfish, while the rest is contributed by the other species in Lake Naivasha. The impact has been positive because now we have more species for trade, and it brings in the issue of diversity and variety for the market.
Kemfrey cites overfishing, illegal fishing, destruction of papyrus on the lake's shores as the reasons behind the drop in fish numbers across species. Meanwhile, the fishermen would like the government to intervene to boost the production of fish in the lake, but since a recent devolution of power, they feel caught in a tug-of-war between national and local government. Alexandria Majala, Africa Matters, Naivasha, Kenya.
Major source of income for the Soko people in Niger. But the Niger River is silting up, reducing catches and threatening their ancient way of life. Brenda Radido reports.
The Niger River is shrinking. Silt is threatening to choke it, while increasing rainfall and soil erosion has caused more sediment to be deposited on the riverbed. Fish stocks are seriously depleted and the fishermen need help.
If the government can come and work for us in Sorkos to see how we can develop fish farming based on successful models from other countries such as neighboring Burkina Faso, where fish is available all year round, then the revenue from taxes and other fishing permits will be used to replenish the state coffers.
With the river unable to provide, fishermen have turned to the land.
But now people have taken up gardening, rice growing, and other activities like sewing, mechanics, electricity, everything. People are diversifying to be able to earn a living. Because before, our parents and grandparents relied mainly on water. But this time it's not easy because the silting up. The water has washed everything away, and the sand has washed everything away. The water used to be deep, but now it's shallow.
Once again, the catch was meager, but at night, Ali Sani will try his luck again.
We're just suckers, the men of the water. We only know the river on which we depend. If anything happens in the river, people are obliged to call on me because I'm inescapable.
Roughly 50,000 people make their living from fishing in Niger, but they cannot catch enough to meet demand. With river stocks dwindling, it looks like Niger will have to import more and more fish from its neighbors. Brenda Radido, Africa Matters.
Kilwa Kisiwani, an island in southern Tanzania. It was home to the medieval Kilwa Sultanate, and the entire island is one of the 7 UNESCO designated World Historical Sites in the country. Let's take a closer look. That's our show this week. Let us know what you think about the stories you've seen. Share your ideas and feedback, and you can find us on X or YouTube by searching TRT World Africa Matters. Thanks for watching, and it's goodbye from me, Fungisai Maranga, in Lusaka, Zambia.